What's going on, Saber Legion? I am David Laudenslager, the National Director for the Saber Legion. A National Director for the Saber Legion. Today we're going to be bringing you the TSL World Championship match between Seth Clendenning in black and Jared Graham in red. Seth Clendenning's the blue fighter, Jared Graham's the red fighter. And joining me today is Alec Martinez of the Florida Charter.
Hello everyone, good to be here tonight.
So, in this match, I think you have the most experience with both of these people, Jared being from your charter and Seth being your tag partner.
That is correct. I get to see him a lot.
And I also tagged with Jared at the last TSL annual tournament where we placed second. So we'll take it away with Charley Cummings as the director for this match for the TSL World Championship. What do you think is keys to victory for either of these fighters?
So, Seth is probably one of the best counter fighters I have ever had to try and fight. His parry-riposte game is always on point. So if Jared is going to be able to come out on top, he's absolutely going to need to either find a way to deceive the initial defense or come through faster somehow.
You mean like that, where he just stepped to the angle and kind of hit him in the arm?
That was exactly what he would need to do. Yeah, that was actually spectacular. I know Jared has been working really hard on working through counter guards. He's been working with one of the HEMA fighters down here in Florida, Will Landis, heavily on trying to improve his angle of attack to make it a safer entry.
And then there's that parry riposte game from Seth, and that's 1-1.
Yeah, both of these are extremely fast, very fit fighters. It's very much going to come down to whose game is on top of whose this day. I don't think this is one of those rock, paper, scissors that some people like to pretend you can have with counter fighting versus aggressive fighting.
Well, and this is a tag. Ultimately, it's a who hits first. So, yeah, it just depends on management of distance, I think, is the big thing. With a taller fighter, you always have to manage your distance, whether you're the taller fighter or whether you're fighting the taller fighter. It's just you have to monitor that distance more so than anybody else. Red goes up with the early 3-1 lead.
Fighting someone like Jared, who has a great reach but also understands that his arm is going to be your point of attack, can get frustrating because he will try to bait you into using that as a counter target. And he's very good at taking into some weird positions to make it so much harder to hit that as that counter.
Blue gets the point for a cut across the torso. Just so everyone knows for rules, it is 1 point scored. Valid targets all over the body with a couple exceptions as far as thrust to the abdomen and the leg and the neck, hits to the back of the head, groin, that kind of stuff. So looks like Jared might have gotten in there just before the parry took place.
Just a hair.
Yep. 4-2 to red.
It's interesting seeing the differences in their stances with their two fighting styles. Seth taking a fairly traditional stance for a longsword, while Jared's almost fighting like a boxer here and really releasing that hand like a jab.
Jared gets that point to switch to 5. They're going to switch sides. Jared in red, he kind of does these traversal steps as opposed to the back and forth a little bit more that you see from Seth. That you would see definitely in more of that European longsword style.
I appreciate that we're seeing a fair amount of honor given for such a high-level fight. It is not easy when there's this much on the line to be that open with the director that, no, I was the one who got hit.
Exactly, and it's hard also, like, it's hard for the judges. You know, the judges are trying to see it as best they can. I mean, it's not reality, it's what the judges see.
Very, very close.
I do appreciate Charley is a phenomenal judge, and he does a very good job of knowing when he sees something better than anyone else, but also when someone else has the better view on him.
Yep, and that should hopefully keep it as even as possible throughout this match.
Absolutely.
And that looks like a simultaneous, perhaps. Yep.
Yep.
So they will get
saw
3
that as well.
simultaneouses. On the third simultaneous, they will lose 1 point from each fighter.
Oh,
so
good
that's
chase.
the first of the round.
Yep. All judges, 3 judges saw red outstretched, missed the first shot by blue, second shot by red.
And that's where that reach and distance comes into handy for Jared, where Seth could go to full length in a lunge and then miss. But then he gets the nice parry riposte as a counter to that.
And judges, 2 judges and the...
Still a 3-point lead, 7-4 towards the red fighter, Jared Graham.
I have absolutely seen Seth overcome bigger deficits than that against me personally sometimes.
Oh, I've done it too. That's how I roll. If I don't have a 3 to 4 point deficit at the end, there's something. It should be 8 to 4, and then I close it to like 8 to 8 or 9 to 8.
I like to pretend I'm just keeping it exciting, but realistically, sometimes it just takes me a little bit to feel out my opponent that day.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like their calls. You have 1 red, 2 blue. And a simultaneous called on that one. So we'll just see what they determine based on the timing of that.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk while they're figuring that out, but on that last one, I couldn't tell you from the angle exactly, and that is the one thing of angles.
Oh, yeah.
3 different angles that we still don't know. Then Charley breaks the impasse and gives the point to blue, 5-7, 2-point deficit.
That is a tight match as a title fight, which is always good to see.
So right there, looked like Seth's just stepped into Jared's range, but not quite
just
range,
enough.
And then Jared punished him with the quick lunge.
Yeah, and he came nicely through that counter guard across the shoulder. That was good positioning for that type of strike.
Match point for red in this first round. So Jared playing a little more conservatively in that one.
Excellent speed.
All right, 3 judges did see blue initially get blocked, but broke through. Blue got a shot.
That's always a tough call when you are at match point and you have a lead. Do you try to press an advantage and possibly risk exposing a target on yourself, or do you change your strategy and hope that you can play the counter game well?
I personally have done the prevent defense. If you want to borrow a term from football, I find that actually I have not benefited from it. The only time that it's beneficial is if you are near the end of a match and you have like a 2 or 3 point advantage and you're trying to burn the clock off. That's the only advantage I've found. But if you try to protect the lead without monitoring the time, you're more likely to, especially in this first in kind of tag, you're not gonna be as successful.
Yeah, this is, to borrow from German longsword, seizing the vor is very much of utility in games like this.
All right.
And it looks like that is what allowed Jared to take that first round.
So we move into round 2 with Jared up 1-0.
All right. Okay, Judge.
Okay, moving into round 2. Jared is up 1-0 in this best of 3 series for the TSL Championship. So Seth is going to be operating, probably going to need to change his strategy a little bit. What's he going to need to do to be successful in this round?
So counterpunching on someone as fast as Jared is always hard. Obviously, counterpunching in general is a gamble. What he may need to do, if Jared does manage to make the first move, is instead of trying to parry and then riposte, trying to make that more like a stop thrust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he tried to do it a little bit there, hitting Jared on the arm, but Jared got in just a hair
faster.
Yep.
Yeah, the other time Seth does extremely well is while it's not what he seems to be comfortable with at this moment in time, when he goes first, he has some phenomenal speed, and his judgment of angle is excellent.
First simultaneous of the round, 1-0 towards Red Fighter.
I'm enjoying that we're seeing some good representation of some of the things that have made their way into the meta of TSL, both Jared using that more extended one hand, something more like a rapier, while Seth is at the max length for a two-hander, and both clearly demonstrating that they well belong within this meta at the top.
Yeah, your primary metas are going to be your one-handed reach and your 2-to-1. Now Seth is doing obviously a parry riposte like he did there very nicely. But he also does the kind of 2-to-1 where you reach off with your left hand is a very popular style where you're holding in a two-handed, you defend two-handed, you attack with a left-handed strike. That's a very common strategy in TSL. 3-1 to Red. What I can see with Seth is he's definitely being a bit more aggressive with his distance. He was a little more cautious in the first round. He's trying to close distance a little bit more, so he's actually closing a little bit extra out of there. And that is causing Jared to adapt, but he's not getting that. He can only get that when Seth is at Jared's distance, but right now Seth is living in his distance, if that makes sense. Each person has their own specific distance to make the contact.
Yeah, Seth is allowing himself to control at what measure he wants things to happen very well.
Looks like we have one red, one blue, possibly one didn't see it, and one maybe simultaneous or didn't see it. So this will probably come down to the director breaking a tie, since it is split amongst them. So, and a deficit again for Seth, but again his strategy has changed. So we'll see if that makes a difference later in the round.
Yeah, sometimes adapting to that new strategy takes a couple points.
So we have 2 blue, 1 red. The blues, however,
Oh, 2 blue. Okay.
Angle on it, so we are going to go with blue. Blue scores 2-4. Ready? Fight.
All right, closing that gap a little bit.
You can see Jared still kind of doing the boxing, like traversal, a lot of traversal steps, a lot of circle steps.
All right.
I think in that case, Seth got the jump on him. Okay. Hard to tell on video, too, when you're looking at it. You never know.
Yeah, and Charley would have had a great angle to see how that one happened.
Oh, nice.
Seth's being a little bit more risky in how he's leaning forward, but he's doing it. He's quickly not staying there too long and making the contact, which is why he got that point.
Yeah.
Now Jared's trying to press the tempo again. Third of the match, they will each lose a point, down 3-2 in favor of Red.
But keeping it nice and tight. They're both really pacing out, trying to take smart shots at this point, which I like seeing.
Looks like we had a 30-second call for them left in the round.
Okay, so if we have two judges red, 1 judge blue. The judges on opposite angles were able to corroborate the call from red that was slightly before blue. Red point, 4-2. Ready?
Red takes it 4-2.
With 30 seconds left, that really puts the pressure on Seth here to try to make that close to get to the third round if he can.
Yeah, and there he did. Jared was playing back a little bit. I think he was trying to buy time.
Yeah, it puts you in a lot of danger of bringing that to something like Final Exchange, where a 1-point deficit can completely change the fight.
Seth is a little more locked in as far as he's looking for Jared's little idiosyncrasies to change, to disrupt his tempo.
Yep.
On that one, might it be simultaneous? So yeah, as strategies change, they might get some more simultaneous strikes. That was Final Exchange.
Yeah, especially as you reach that Final Exchange.
All right, 3 judges saw blue, 1 saw red. I would go blue did get to be under the arm as red came in. Blue point.
Blue point, low scoring, but blue takes the second round, tied, and we're going to go to 3.
Brilliant.
I think a great adjustment from Seth, and keeping it lower scoring, but it worked. And here we go with round 3, tied up 1-1. The winner of this round will be the new TSL World Champion.
Whew. No pressure.
No pressure. And that parry riposte, I think, went to blue. Okay. Red got it a little sooner.
Looks like just slightly inside. Now, talking about the corners of these two fighters, we have on Seth Clendenning's side, I believe I heard Brian Williams' voice throughout the match, who is a frustratingly good tactician. And on the opposite corner, we have Melodie Graham, another one of our national directors, who's been in and around this game probably longer than almost any of the judges in it. So we're probably getting some amazing advice in these corners. David, if you were in the corner of these fighters, having had you in mind, what would you be telling each one to try to come out for this last round?
I would be telling Jared to hit at the furthest distance possible, to play against his distance as much as possible, and take Seth's arm, because Seth is going to reach it out. I would tell Seth to, whenever he's in Jared's distance, you take half a step back. Not a full step, just a half little retirement, just because I pretty much say that to anybody when they're fighting a taller fighter. You take half a step back for what you think is normally safe. Because with that taller reach fighter, you're not safe. But if it's fairly even, it makes sense. So 3-1 for the match so far. But yeah, the big thing is like it's for either of them right now. I think this is about measure and distance, and using that to steal your opponent's time.
Speaking of, that was an excellent way to trick him into thinking he was at a different measure than he was.
And Jared's doing a really good job taking angles. That's one thing that we don't see a whole lot of, in a lot of parts of TSL. People kind of like to hit on a line. But he's taken these angles, and it is giving him a little extra protection if he catches Seth reaching. Like right there, for example, after the first strike from Seth, Jared stepped slightly to the angle on the right and was able to get under, whereas if he's had stepped straight, he would have made contact with Seth's hilt. So 5-2 in favor of Jared Graham.
Great match, guys. Great match. All right, blue fighter ready? Red fighter ready?
An early jump, but we've seen Seth catch up in both other rounds and able to take one of them. So I don't even think 3 points is safe in this match.
No, definitely not. Right there, just a little tag under the arm right on that second intention. And that's where that reach just gets so punishing.
Very, very nice exchange. I do appreciate the use by both fighters of multiple intentions. It's something that you'll see in early levels. A lot of people just go for the first hit and pray. It is very nice to see skilled fighters who have a backup plan, but a very committed initial.
Definitely.
All right, although luckily for 3
So right there, Jared was able to strike at the angle with a slight off step, and he made that strike. So that was a very good use of just taking a very slight angle with your cut. 6-2 as a 4-point deficit.
Yeah, they will bring that up nicely, but
and the honor calls off blue. Blue 3-6. Ready? Fight.
back to closing a little bit.
Yeah, now he's playing a little more aggressive.
Yep, two judges on opposite sides were able to corroborate. Blue actually was able to break through the block into the outside of the arm. 4-6 blue. Ready? Fight. Did it? Oh! Yeah. Nice. Good honor. All judges, or three judges and the honor calls out red come up underneath on the hands.
Red underneath, 7-4.
Ready, fighters? Fight.
Managing to just keep that lead ahead.
Oh! Time. Judges.
Looks like I saw Seth. If I'm looking at it, what I saw is I saw Seth come just underneath, just tag the wrist just before Jared came in with the second intention.
Yeah, it looked like he just caught him through. That's what I believe I saw that from the same angle as well, but of course we're sharing the camera, so.
Yeah, and each judge is going to have a different perspective and see different things. Hopefully they all see the same thing, but as we always like to say, when you want to complain about judges' calls, it's not reality, it's what the judges see.
However, the blue
Absolutely.
had the best angle and saw red actually. This was the first shot. Blue did get the point. Blue, 5-7.
Blue gets the point. 5-7, 2 points, so now we're down 2-point deficit.
Keeping it nice and close.
Hold.
That was fairly close to a stop thrust. I don't think we had the angle as a camera to see who got in there first.
No.
But that was the right idea. Trying to avoid the head and see if he can tag the arm on the way in.
We got a simultaneous out of it.
All judges saw blue get to the secondary shot on the backside. Blue.
Looks like Seth is playing with distance between the exchanges. Basically, he's now starting closer than he has been before instead of making a wider distance to close. So that's why he got that last point.
Well done.
Yep. All judges agree, and I agree simultaneous. They both kind of jumped into each other. Second of the match. Ready, fighters? Fight.
Yeah, as nerves get high, that can happen.
Absolutely.
Hold. All judges saw
It's a
red
strike to the
come back.
hand.
They shot to the arm. Red. 8-6. Ready, fighters? Fight.
8-6.
Still close match. And
there's that quick when he keeps it out and he gets with the parry, he's able to knock through it. So keeping that arm out is exceedingly important. So having that wrist strength is very important for those kind of strikes.
yeah, both of these fighters worked extremely hard on their fitness in general, but specifically for this match, knowing the other one was going to be doing the same.
Okay. Judges to me, please.
I mean, that's the big thing that's usually surprising is like, you go into at that level, you are at a fitness level. I definitely was at that point when I fought Jimmy Surreal for the belt back in 2019. Other than the fact that I had a severe cold and was on cold medicine was the only thing keeping me fully vertical.
Never ideal.
As soon as the match was over, well, it was also I think it was 0 degrees. So.
One judge pretty adamant that they saw blue on it. So with that being said, we were going to call simultaneous.
Yeah, founded in Minnesota. You have to be able to fight on Hoth for this.
7-6, so now a little further away from a match point. Seth came in with that thrust.
Beautiful speed on that.
He kind of thrust it in and then he cut. He might have hit the arm. Very close to hitting the torch, but I think he hit the arm first. That's what they were calling. And Jared just slightly faster on that.
Looks like.
We have one blue, 3 simultaneous. I'm going to say simultaneous.
Simultaneous. Sometimes when they have no intention of defending themselves, it's easier to lean on that simultaneous because...
Yeah, you open yourself up in. Yep.
That was a final exchange call.
Holy cow.
Right as they...
7-6. And I believe that was
right as they were about to engage.
Final exchange, 7-6. Jared gets the last point. Seth takes the match, 2 rounds to 1. Congratulations to Jared Graham, the new TSL World Champion.
Extremely close fight, very well fought to both of them.
Yeah, both fighters did a wonderful job. Any other day, that could go the other way. It could go the other way each day if they fought every day for a year. So congratulations to Jared Graham, and congratulations to Seth Clendenning for putting on a heck of a fight. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Alec. Appreciate you coming on for this. And please check out the other videos on the Saber Legion channel.